Hi, Sandy. How are you?
Hi, Becky. How are you?
Good, thank you. Sandy, everyone, is one of my best friends. She is someone that I had to have on the first interview for Bella Vita for Autism Mothers because she is the first person that I actually met that I could relate to because of my life experiences and obviously her life experiences having a son that was how many years older is Ty?
Tyler's going to be 20 in May.
Okay, so he was about 10 probably. No, not 10. He was probably 8, no, 12. Because I found out about Connor when he was almost 2.
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So a friend that we had in common knew Sandy and said, "Oh my God!" Connor got diagnosed, you have to meet my friend Sandy. And then she connected us through Facebook, and then we met up and we just hit it off right away. And ever since then, we are each other's support.
Yeah.
Of course, I know that if I have any questions or anything, Sandy's been through it, so I'm gonna, text you or call you.
Yeah,
And of course,
yeah.
through the whole process, we become like not just friends, but like sisters. So, you had to be my first person on.
I'm very honored.
Yes.
Very
So
honored.
I wanted to start because I don't want to make this too long of a conversation, and I just want to get to the nitty gritty of things. I want you to tell me about Ty, if there was anything different about Ty's birth, if there's anything that you want to discuss, and also when did you see the first signs that Ty might not be developing typically?
Well, Ty was premature. He was born at 35 weeks gestation. I had a very difficult pregnancy with him. I had preterm labor with immediately at the end of my first trimester. I mean, we're talking 20 years ago, so it's a long time. And so I was bedridden for most of my pregnancy.
Wow.
So I had some complications with Ty during pregnancy along the way, and they discovered that he had stopped developing physically, but his head kept growing. I had a condition called oligohydramatosis, where there was no amniotic fluid in us now.
Yeah.
And amniotic fluid is what these babies feed on when they're in the womb. So
by the way, Sandy is in the medical field, therefore she's very good with the terminology. Go ahead.
If anybody has any questions about any of the things I'm saying, please let Balky know. And
type it in the comments. Yeah.
A little bit more in layman's terms. So he was induced and rushed up to the NICU. Of course, I have a genetic heart condition that runs in my family, and they saw that with Tyler within his first 24 hours of life. So we're like, okay, he's going to be on meds, which is expected.
Mm-hmm.
We knew all this prior to birth. So around 2.5, Ty still was not talking, making eye contact. Very good baby, happy baby. Never cried, anything. So I didn't see any signs with him being withdrawn or anything of that nature. He was very interactive, but just didn't give eye contact.
I was going to say, yeah, the eye contact.
His speech was not there. So
did he have a word, or was it like grunting, or was it just silence?
So Ty did a lot of grunts. He would maybe say ball, and that was like a hit or miss. That was like if you heard it, exactly. It was, you got really excited, and then it probably wouldn't come again for another couple more months. So my cousin was a paraprofessional up north, and she worked with children with autism, and she mentioned to me, maybe get him, checked out, see if there's anything, that's off, and take it from there. So, of course, we took him to a neurologist, and he was diagnosed with autism at almost the age of 3. Mm. And they started early intervention almost immediately. Now, this would be now 17 years. So autism wasn't really around back then. It was heard of, but no one knew about it. People still don't know about it.
Was there behavioral therapies at the time, or?
when they started his early intervention, he had everything from ABA therapy to physical to speech to OT to everything, the whole 9 yards. And then as the years went on, he hit the milestones and they slowly got removed because he had excelled.
And how quickly did you see, like once he started early intervention, how quickly did you see some changes or improvements or maybe even like a word or two here and there?
That took a while. That took years. I mean, behaviors were still there. Him crying, meltdowns were still there. Nothing. There was no. We would try to figure out what was going on, what he needed, what he wanted, and we couldn't. And this went on for a couple of years.
Yeah. And at the time, you didn't have like the iPad or, anything, any of the devices that we have now.
Didn't even exist back then. Nothing. I mean, like, he had a lot of the typical signs. Like, back then it was VHS tapes and CDs. And he would rewind the same thing over and over and over.
And that takes skill, my friend. For VHS.
Yes, exactly. And until you were ready to hit your head to the wall because you're just tired of hearing it, but then it just becomes white noise in the background. So that was like his biggest trigger, or in not speaking was it as well. I mean, he wasn't potty trained until he was 5. So a lot of moms get discouraged now, and I speak to them, they're 3 and 4, but I'm like, it's time.
Connor was 7.
It's so, everybody's so different, and everybody, like, it's the umbrella. And
the whole thing, too, is, like, you cannot stop trying. Because just because they're 5 or 6 and they're not getting it doesn't mean that you have to stop or, try every single way you can possibly do it. And sometimes it's just that they're not ready.
Right. And that's what I see in my field, being in the medical field. And I see a lot of these parents that come in with concerns over the years with that and then they're like, oh, well, they're not ready, so I'm just going to give up. No, you can't do that because if you give up, they're going to give up as well. So you're the leader, you're the ringleader, you got to keep pushing for your baby to hit that milestone.
Exactly.
And I remember distinctly a post that you put on Facebook when we first started talking about how Connor, something with the bathroom, he went into the bathroom, but he missed or something, and you were very frustrated and overwhelmed. And I remember you and I we were just getting familiar with each other, and I emailed you, and I said, listen, I go, that's great. I go, next time say, great job, high five, because he went into the bathroom, he went to the right room, he went next to the toilet, whatever, and he didn't quite get it, but he's getting it.
Exactly.
Seeing that encouragement will help them get to that.
Yeah, and that was one of the things, and one of the best things about not just you in my life, but other moms having someone like you in their life who's been through it already, because some things that to us are like big because we're just experiencing it for the first time. We're like, oh my God, I can't do this. And then there's like you, the wise one who's already gone through it, to kind of say, simmer down, this is normal. And then it just kind of gives us hope. And then we're like, okay, you're right. So it's almost like a gentle reminder of like, this is normal. And we all need that other person, I think, that really knows more than us or has been through more than us.
Right. And when Ty was born, I was almost 20. So I was very young. I was a single mom. I didn't know.
And single mom, like no dad.
No dad at all. Not until today. I've done everything on my own, and thank God for my parents because they're such great supports for me to help me with this, but they were learning as well.
Yes. We
were all kind of like learning together, and I was not a very patient person, and I had to learn patience.
That's me. That was me too.
And even till today, things may look great and all roses and kittens, but it's not. And there are still times till today where I'm tired, I don't feel good, and, he's doing whatever, and I just want to give up sometimes.
Yes.
But in the beginning, it was hard because you're going in blindly.
Yes.
Back in those days, early 2000s, everything was so new, and even the teachers and the parents, they were still learning about how kids.
How big would you say the class sizes were at the time?
If I remember correctly, they were pretty big down here. Where I lived, the population was pretty big. Actually, it was the biggest population in New Jersey at one point.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we had like 15 in this class.
Okay.
But not all at the same time, because a lot of them got pulled out to go to speech or physical therapy or OT or whatever it was. And he still receives speech till today. He receives it, I believe, twice a week now.
But you've had to fight for those too.
That's another thing. Sometimes when these teachers come at you and you go for your annual review and they say, all right, think your child has met their milestone. We're going to remove this service from them. But you feel that no, you do. They still need to be in that program, and there's still some work to be done.
Just because they're older doesn't mean that they have nowhere to improve, right? And that's what we have to tell them.
Right, exactly. They may have hit some milestones in school and excelled, but in the home social environment, maybe they haven't.
Yeah.
And I had a fight one time, and Tyler was getting ABA therapy at home. For some behavior issues. This is just recently. This was 5 years ago.
Okay.
So recently. So he was 14 at the time, 14, 15. Okay. And I had to appeal it. And then I had to meet with the state and then with the Board of Education's, their panel of directors. And thank God Tyler was getting ABA therapy at home because the director of that company came to be his advocate and say, no, he still needs speech because he's having these behavior issues because he can't tell us what's wrong, so therefore he's having behavior issues. Do not remove speech from him. And it was a fight. This went on for, I think, 8 months.
There you go.
And
we have to be resilient. Like, we can't just give up and accept, well, this is what it is.
If the teacher's saying, oh, okay, their child does not need that anymore, you can't be like, oh, okay. No, but if you feel like they still need it, you push for it. You continue on. That's not the dead-end road.
Exactly.
Because you have to sign that paper saying,
yes.
I condone with removing this service from my child. If you do that, then to get it back is even harder.
Yes. And one of the pieces of advice that I have too, and you know that, like, don't ever sign the IEP at the IEP meeting. Leave with the IEP. Even if they sat there and talked through it, there's always a little something that you might miss. Or maybe even something that you're kind of like, I'm not sure. Just go home. You have a certain amount of days to return it. Just wait. Just go home, read it, think it through, make sure you agree with everything, and then sign it and send it in.
Yeah,
I mean, you can always, call in an appeal, whatever, and make changes.
Yeah,
but once you, like you said, you give up a service, then to get it back on, it's going to be a pain in the neck.
Right. And the only person you're hurting is yourself and your child. And you don't want to do that. I've done phone conferences, IEP phone conferences, so I couldn't go into school, and they would send it home to me, and I would review it. I can't tell you how many times of mistakes I've caught, and I had to highlight it, send it back to school, write an email to the social worker, and be like, listen, there's an error here. Yes. They make mistakes too.
Yes.
Because honestly, what they're doing is copying and pasting the previous IEP and just making those changes.
Yes.
So maybe they oversaw something. So it's very important to sit down, take the 5, 10, 15 minutes, look over everything. It's kind of like it's very redundant. It's every year. It's very exhausting after these years of doing it.
Yes.
But it's extremely important. Extremely important.
Yes. Now, I have another question for you, because obviously Ty's going to be 20. That means you have gone through puberty years with Ty.
Oh, Lord. Fun.
Can you tell me, like, when did you notice that it was starting? How did you handle it? Did his behavior change? I know that for me, like, Connor is going to be 11 now, and he already started puberty, like, you can see it. And I'm dealing with a lot of mood swings and things like that. I know not every child's the same, but tell us a little bit about how his was and how you managed it.
So Tyler was an early bloomer. He was 9. So we were still dealing with, just getting into the rhythm of his program at school, even after all those years. And then all of a sudden we get hit with this, and we're like, okay, now what do we do? So I actually had a meeting with his teachers, and because they noticed his aggression was getting worse.
What was his aggression like?
So things that were okay in his normal, typical daily life were now all of a sudden not okay. Sounds, words. Even you talking, you were not allowed to talk. You were not allowed to exhale a certain way. These little tiny triggers were then becoming worse and worse and worse. And so we had to kind of, you may think your child doesn't know what's going on or what you're saying. They don't understand what you're saying, but they do.
Yes.
And even till today, I still think he doesn't understand what I'm saying to him. But then I get a response from him like, oh, okay, you got it. So I would tell Tyler, tell me if things don't feel right. They don't feel funny. If you have questions, even with the limited vocabulary that he had, because he just started talking at 8 years old, with little tiny 2-3 word sentences. I said, tell me that, if things aren't right, there's no need to, have to scream and yell and hit. No need for that. Don't do that. That's not nice. So let's try another way. Try to tell me. And I noticed he would like cry, just start crying for no reason at all. And he still does, maybe like once a year now. And he couldn't, I would ask him, Tyler, what's wrong? Nothing, Mom, nothing. And I wish I could the sentence for him.
Do you think he would be able to articulate it though at that time?
I don't think so now. It's in his head what he wants to tell me, but he just doesn't know how to verbally say it to me.
Yes.
And I would start the sentence for him. I would go, tell me, Mom, I am sad because, and I thought maybe that would help. And I still use that approach till today. But sometimes you just gotta keep trying, because sometimes one day you may just get it. They get that new word coming out of them, or that new behavior, or that new, pattern with them.
Now he's gonna be 20, right? We said that. Is there anything recently that he's done that he didn't do before that was like, oh my God, like, like obviously this is the whole thing about having hope that there's always going to be improvement.
So when I found out I was having a boy, I'm a big sports fanatic. So I'm like, oh, great. Watch games with me. We can do the football team. We can try out for the baseball team. Like, those are my hopes and dreams, that him to be this athlete, And then when we found out he was autistic, I'm like, all right, he'll never understand my passion. He'll never be, I won't have that anymore.
Because when they tell us, we think that they're not what we expected anymore. This is it. Hi. Uh-oh, there's my Connor. Come on. You gonna go play? Go ahead, go on a swing. Yeah, I'll be there. Go on the swing. Go ahead, you go. You go. Good listening. Oh, he's not happy now. Start again. But that's one of the things with him now. It's like he just gets like angry all the time. Like it's like weird. Like he'll be fine, and then all of a sudden he just flips out.
Because I think he wants to tell you something, but he can't, and you're not giving him the response that he wants.
Exactly.
And then he gets mad.
Exactly. Thank you, Evan. Okay. No talking now because I'm going to continue with Sandi.
He listens.
Okay, so I'm going to go back a little bit. Okay, so we got interrupted a little bit, so we are back to talking about what Ty has done recently that shows that even at his age, there are things that improve or that things that you didn't know that will shock you.
Right. So you have all these hopes and dreams for your child to become a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever you want your child to be. And then they get diagnosed with autism, and you're like, okay, well, I can take all those dreams and just throw them out the window, and that'll be it. So one time I was watching a Yankee game. I was still living at home with my parents, and Tyler comes into my room, and he starts crying, and because he thinks I'm yelling at him. Mm-hmm. I'm yelling at the TV.
Connor does the same thing. Yes.
Meanwhile, he's in the other room at the other end of the house, nowhere near me. So I was like, no. I'm like, no, he hit a home run. See, yay, good job, And they play sports in school because they take gym.
Yes.
They're familiar with sports and activities and things of that nature.
Does he behave like that at the games, though? Does he get upset at the screaming at the game?
Not anymore. No.
Okay. No. But he used to.
Now, because he thought I was yelling at him, so he got upset because he thought I was yelling at him, and meanwhile I'm yelling at the game.
He can't live with my husband.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm very, very animated when it comes to watching sports, and I just really can't help myself. So he started seeing how fun it could be. The part of the game, the home runs and the catch and all that stuff and the touchdowns, and he started slowly, I guess, YouTubing it. Mm-hmm. And I was seeing his search history. He would YouTube a lot of Super Bowls and a lot of World Series, and then now he loves baseball, basketball.
Oh God! One kid just came and gave me a kiss. Okay.
Hi. I'm going outside. I need to grab my stuff.
He's going outside. Yeah, go ahead.
So now he loves everything about sports. And now I have my son, who I thought would never appreciate the sport. He now loves it.
So what does that tell you about
the expectations are very, very high for these kids, and they're endless.
And not just that the diagnoses, it doesn't change who your child is going to be.
No.
So once you hear that, just because you got he has autism, doesn't mean that he's not going to like sports or not. That doesn't change who he is as a person and who he's going to be. Exactly.
No, he does Special Olympics bowling. He's been on the team for about 5 years now. And he's a very good bowler. He did it with school as well in middle school before he even started Special Olympics. Mm-hmm. So there is potential out there for these kids. It's you got to play your part, and then they can play their part.
Exactly.
But it comes from you first because you're the source.
Exactly.
That they have confidence in. You're the ones that they trust. So they're going to let you guide them. So if you guide them in the right direction, something simple as, I don't know, brushing their teeth. And there's a lot of sensory going on there. Tyler did too. He had such a bad gag reflex when he was younger. And it was very hard to brush our teeth. And I pushed. And even in school, they brush their teeth in school. Mm-hmm. Now, some people were like, oh, well, the school's doing it. So
no. Because you have to bring it to your home. Whatever happens. What are you going to do? Not brush their teeth 2 weeks once they're off spring break or something?
Exactly. And then so even from day one, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or anything. I'm not trying to pat my parents' self on the back. But every single teacher they always said, we can tell what parents follow through at home and which ones don't.
Exactly.
So you'll follow through.
Yes.
Because it helps them. your child, and then you're coming home and you're molding them as well, you know?
Exactly.
And then with things like that, with hygiene or medicine, taking medicine, you know, is a big thing for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's interesting about Connor? He will actually take, if it's like, obviously he does a liquid, he will take that really nasty tasting medicine, any nasty tasting medicine, and he just takes it like with the dropper. So the ones, because if he feels it in a food or anything, like he just will not eat it or will not drink it because he only drinks water and milk. So if it gets, affected with anything else, he won't have it. But then, like I said, he'll have the actual medicine, which is really odd.
Well, that's what it is. That's what they're saying. No, with autism, no two of them are alike, you know. And maybe next week he'll start swallowing pills, you know. Who knows? There's always room for improvement. Always room for improvement. And I see that with a lot of my friends that have children, my patients who are that come in and have autism, and the parents, when they're my patient, the parents are also patients as well. And I always tell them there's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
Where Ty doesn't take any medicine because it has to mix in applesauce, and if he has a little cold, and I get a little cold here, I'm not even kidding. It takes like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and him sitting there trying to take it.
Oh my God.
I have to cry for him.
You're like, oh no. Now another thing that I wanted to really talk about, because you've been very, very prepared. You're one of those people who's always doing everything that you need to do in time, ahead of time, probably 10 years before you're supposed to do it. Let's talk a little bit about guardianship, because I know that was super hard for you. Not just because obviously we're kind of admitting at this point that our child won't be able to take care of themselves, but also you as a single mom having to take on that whole, and Will as well.
Yeah. So guardianship is big because it's not technically saying, okay, my child will never be capable of handling themselves or living alone or whatever. It's not that. The guardianship is more of a medical perspective. If the child becomes sick, your child becomes sick and they're over the age of 18, then you have say in treatment for them.
Yes.
Because at the age of 18, as we all know, we are all considered adults. No matter what your disability is, no matter how capable you are or incapable you are, the law doesn't change for anybody. No. 18 is 18. So basically, what I did is someone gave me the name of a physician that helps with guardianship, filing the paperwork. And he used to work through DDD, Division of Development Disability here in New Jersey, for children with autism. He no longer works for them, but that was his job. That's what he did. Parents fill out the paperwork, file it, do everything. So I actually reached out to him in 2015. Tyler didn't turn 18 until 2018. So this was 3 years before.
Yes. And how much time does someone necessarily need?
That process is long. So I started that process in 2015, and the following year was when things started to spiral. I was getting contacted from the States saying, we need to really evaluate him. Dr. Rose was telling me as well he was getting word on his end about some law changes.
And now, does that apply to Jersey, or does that apply to the whole country? Do you know?
That's actually nationwide. Yes,
nationwide.
That's for all of U.S.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm kind of glad I started it. The time I started it was because I prepared myself for it, and it's very involved. Doctors, information of the physician, the records that they have to audit your child's physicians of, them writing letters saying that yes, this child's still incapacitated and cannot make any kind of medical decisions for themselves. And then you have to go see the state's physician and get evaluated by them. You get evaluated from the physician, and then they evaluate your child. So both of you are getting evaluated to make sure that you're competent
to take care of your child.
Care of your child.
Oh my God.
So it's like an interview process. And
to keep the child that you gave birth to.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And it was very overwhelming. It was very stressful.
I remember you were crying and.
Yeah, it's not a pleasant thing because there's a lot of mixed emotions there because it's kind of like, all right, this is how I was feeling. It's just me personally. It may not be for everybody, but I felt like this is as good as it's going to get. He will never drive. He will never, be able to do this, do that. To me, that was like the end of the road. But really, it's not because there's still room for growth. There's always room for growth as they get older. But for yourself as well, because without that piece of paper, anything happens to your child and you do not have that piece of paper, and God forbid there's an emergency, and your child's in a hospital, and you don't have that piece of paper, your child's doctor that's treating him has to say, you do not.
Yeah.
So being in that field, I can say from experience, you may want one thing for your child, but that doctor doesn't feel that's the best for it, and then they're set. What he says is going to be bond, because then the child gets warded to the hospital.
Yes.
You are nobody anymore as a parent in the eyes, because your child is his own individual entity. Adults. Doesn't matter if they're disabled or not. They're an adult. They're over the age of 18.
Yes.
And they cannot say, I want this. The physician's going to make the decision for them. And if it's not something that you want, and you don't have that piece of paper, you're bringing it like literally on yourself.
And now let's talk a little bit about wills, because you already prepared yours, and unfortunately at this point in time you're dealing with some health issues that you did not know you had when you were preparing the will.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about how you feel about the fact that you have your child protected in the sense, obviously, that you've had it laid out what needs to be done if, God forbid, something happens to you.
Right. So I faced medical issues a couple of years ago, some pretty heavy stuff, and then I was out of the woods with that, and now I'm facing with some other issues. And it kind of made me open my eyes to, all right, let me revise my will, because how things were back then may not be how things are now.
Yeah.
And I had to do a revision of my will for my care now. That way my child can be better protected.
Yes.
This is a very raw and very touchy subject for anybody.
Yes.
We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to think about. That needs to be done. It's a necessity of life. It needs to be done.
And you may insult some people in the process when you don't ask them to take your child, or if you ask them and they don't want to do it, all of that.
Exactly. So, of course, I reached out to you. I reached out to some family members as well, and had asked, if they declined, I was not going to be heartbroken at all. But I just want to know where he was going to stand. So God forbid, because I am a single mom, and with my parents aren't around to take care of him, then what?
Yeah.
So who does Tyler connect with, or who has the knowledge of him that will be and have his best interest at heart and go by, what I would want for him?
Yes.
God forbid anything should happen. People and this is the thing. I see this a lot, and especially where I work. Parents are very much in denial about themselves. I was one of those. I was like, I'm untouchable. I got sick a few years ago. I'm good. I'm good forever now.
Yes.
And I had an unexpected occurrence, and now I'm back to where it began.
Do you hear the song in the background? I'm sorry. That's what happens when you have to do it while your kids are home. But yeah, he's got the monkey on the bed song. But keep going.
So and because parents don't want, they think that they're healthy and they feel good, but you know what? You wake up tomorrow, you've got a cold. Mm-hmm. You didn't feel like you had a cold yesterday, but today you feel like you have a cold. Well, you know what? Things happen, and I see it every day at work. Every single day at work where you're just going about your normal day of life, mm-hmm. something happens and it changes your life completely. And I know it's very hard as a parent to deal with already our daily life, but now we got to add this onto it.
Yeah.
The moment I admit I was very lazy when it came to that because I didn't want to do it.
I don't even think that's actually being lazy. That means that you didn't want to confront it. And then you put it off and you put it off and you put it off. And like you said, we feel like, well, we're young. We're not going to die anytime soon. But I mean, we can go outside and, get into a car accident. And you already had a car accident.
Yep. Exactly.
That you almost died in years ago. So we have to remind ourselves that we're not untouchable, that something could happen to us. So.
And it's one of those things that it stresses me out a lot, just thinking about it. Mm-hmm. And if I thought about it, I would drive myself crazy, Yes. But I know it's done. I know he'll be taken care of.
Yes.
I hope it never comes to that. But if it should, I have everything aligned legally.
Yes.
Because when it comes to these kids or adults or whatever you want to call it, what pregnancy is, it's a whole different world. A whole different world with them.
I agree 100%. Because he never does this, by the way, but because today I'm recording, he's decided this is when he's going to do this.
That was Violet. Remember Violet?
Go play. Go to your brother. He's outside. Go play. I swear, it's like never. It's never. Whatever you need, the quiet and the silence, they don't give it to you. When I'm off with you, then he'll leave me. He'll be like, oh,
you'll never see him. You'll see him.
He just went out back now because Evan's in the trampoline, so hopefully they'll have fun together. But yeah, so it's one of those things that we did it, and my husband and I did it, and I mean it was so much. It was so much paperwork, and it was really, really difficult deciding who is going to have the kids if something happened to both of us or to one of us. And I asked my family, like who can handle this situation, because they have to be able to handle him, especially if he's a minor. If it happens while he's a minor, I'm not going to put him in a home as a minor. So so it's a very difficult time and a difficult thing to do. But, obviously we must do it. And you can write a simple will, too. Like, you don't have to go to an attorney that'll charge you $10,000 to do that.
Oh, I did mine through Suze Orman.
Oh, really?
Yes. Mm. It's a fill in the blank. You fill it. She has it all written out for you, and you just type in.
Oh, very cool.
Blank, and it was done within 20 minutes.
Oh, very good. So I'm gonna maybe send me the link, and then I'll put it down here in the comments for the video and on Facebook. Yeah. That's a great idea. And then you have it notarized, right?
And then you have you just take it to your bank and you get it notarized. And the good thing is about her program is the code that you get to access that template.
Yes.
You can give it to other family members and friends and neighbors so they can use it as well. They can't see your information, but a template comes up for them and they can do their own will right in their home. It takes a few minutes and it's done and over with.
Okay. Now, is there anything else that you want to tell parents about autism, about what your life experience has been, advice on, especially if you are a parent of a child that was newly diagnosed? So let's say 2, 3, or maybe even 5 or 6 that can speak, and finally they're getting them a diagnosis.
Right. One thing, my best advice I give everybody is never lose hope.
Mm-hmm.
And what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it.
Yes.
You know?
You always told me that.
Always. And structure and consistency.
Yes.
Always. It makes your life easier. If you want your life to be easier with your child and your child's disability and what's going on, those are the 3 things that you have to do.
Yes.
It's a must, and it's very simple. It's a lot of work. Sometimes kids are visual. They need to see things that they can read to help them get through something. I have directions in my house on how to do laundry, how to wash himself in the shower, whatever you gotta do to do it. So I remember when I was living at home and Tyler was just a couple of years after he was diagnosed, and we were labeling things. And he actually took a pen or a pencil, and we labeled the outlets, like the plug outlets. And I guess we missed one, and he wrote above it on the wall another outlet.
Smarty pants.
It's that that repetition is what he knows. Okay, we were learning about this. Oh, he missed it. We missed it. He picked up what we missed off. So
that's why we could never say, "Oh, well, they don't know what I'm saying." I don't want to, because you don't know how much they actually know. And as they get older, you're going to see a lot more examples of, "Oh my God, I didn't know that my kid knew this or could do this," or
And that's what a killer is that parents lose hope and they put it on pause. All right, they're talking, they can do this, they can do that. All right, that's good enough. Push through. Go to another goal. Set something else. I couldn't take Tyler to the stores. There was time we could not go to the stores. Mm-hmm. There were times when I went to parties and barbecues, and they would always ask, "Where's Tyler?" And I'm like, "He's home." I couldn't bring him. Mm-hmm. Now the kid loves a party.
Exactly.
There's a party. He's all about it. He's there. He's having a great time.
Yeah.
So just because they were one way today, does that mean they're going to be the same way tomorrow?
Yes. And the thing is, it's about exposure as well. So with us, is the same thing with Connor. Like, I don't know what would happen to him if we went to a supermarket. He would go crazy. And it would be only if we went, like, while we were in the aisle, he was fine. And then when we go to turn to the next aisle, he'd flip out. We never understood what it was about it. But so of course you're all stressed out if you have to go to the supermarket. But instead of running away from it, we just kept taking him and letting people look at us weird because, well, whatever. This is what I have to do for the survival of my family. So look all you want. And and then, some people did say something, and I did say, "Oh, well, he has autism." And, so we're desensitizing him in a way. And for him, it wasn't just being at the supermarket. There was something about going from one aisle to the next aisle.
Yeah.
And then now it's perfect. Now he's so happy when we go. He's pushing the cart. Sorry, super excited.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's another thing too, is that you have to. We're very well aware of our children. When they don't feel good, we can tell by looking at them. As parents. And a friend of mine, she was the 8 on his bus, and he was banging his head against the window. This is just 3 years ago. So this is recently. Yeah. And we didn't know why. Yeah. And every day I knew I was getting a phone call at 8:30 as soon as he got to school from his teacher saying that he banged his head against the window again. And then it turned out there was a child that was making noises that was on his bus as well. That was a trigger. Mm-hmm. It took a year. About a year to get it out of him why he was banging his head against the window. And he gave himself a couple of concussions. And we went to the hospital a couple of times. Yeah. Because he gave himself a concussion and started vomiting. And I go, okay, we're going to the hospital. Yeah. So
a lot of the time those behaviors are coming because of something external. It's not necessarily well, obviously some of them have issues, gut issues that they can't say, and it's, becomes an issue. But in this case, something external that he couldn't verbalize, so he was just getting frustrated.
Right, exactly. And then now you're turning it from a behavior to now a condition where you need some medical attention. And even with, he has an autoimmune disease, and it went years undiagnosed because he couldn't do the test because of sensory issues.
Yes. Oh my God.
But I tried it anyway. I kept trying for it, and then when his condition started getting worse, and we didn't know why he was, he would, eat foods, and he would go to the sink and vomit sometimes, or he would cough and choke like crazy. And I'm like, there's something, and every day, every time, and turned out he had this autoimmune disease condition, and now he's on a very strict diet. But it took years for me to find out. It was about almost 10 years for me to find out that he had that. So but you gotta keep trying. See, I would have never known if I stopped, if I gave up. I wouldn't know he would be suffering.
Yes.
And I was like the horrible parent because my child is suffering now because of me, because I gave up on him because he couldn't do these tests.
Yes.
Same thing, like potty training. You're not going to give up on potty training. You're going to keep going.
I've heard of kids that get it at 13.
Yes.
So it's just about trying and trying. The only thing that is the hardest that I notice for a lot of parents is the overnight part. Which we're still working on. And Connor's 10. Going on 11. We're still working on overnight. But, he sleeps very deeply. But you just got to keep trying.
But you're still working at it. You're not giving up.
No.
Because I feel it's, for me personally, it's poor parenting if you give up on your child.
Yes.
If you can't handle it, there's services and there's people that can help you.
Yes.
But you're only hurting that child. You're not hurting yourself. You're hurting them. And it's not fair for them. They have to do what it is.
Yes.
They have this crazy condition, and they want you to help them, but you're like,
and even if they seem like they don't want your help, they really do. It's just about you taking control as a parent. And that's basically what it is. So.
And sometimes you gotta face. I mean, I used to drive up north for Tyler's appointments because that's where his doctor was, and I hated that drive. I would have anxiety, but I had to work my way through it, get over that hump because I'm all he has, and take him.
Yes.
And when I was younger, my parents would go with me because I was young and I was still. We were all figuring it all out,
Yes.
And he's older. He knows that mom is the one that takes him to all the appointments, and grandma and grandpa can sit at home and do what they gotta do
and hang out, enjoy their life.
Oh God, they want to come with us. That's our time together. That's
exactly.
That's our bonding time.
There you go. No, I feel like everything that you've said today is hopefully something that every mom or any mom who's watching it can take something away from it. Obviously anything that they want to ask you, I want whoever wants to ask Sandi anything or me anything, just put it down in the comments. And you'll be following, I'll let you know too, but you'll be following the YouTube videos and Facebook and stuff. So if there's any questions like that you think that you want to answer, like jump in and answer. Because I think it's important for all of us to have each other's back and to share our stories and what we've gone through. And even obviously when I talk to parents of young ones, which I'm going to be doing, so that we all kind of see like, where do we have differences? Where do we have things that make us very similar? So we all know that we're not alone in this.
And I think it's very important to have that support system of it, because a lot of us, like they say, when your child's born, you're not handed a manual.
No.
We gotta figure it out.
Yeah.
And now we have this added condition on top of it. Very overwhelming. You have to have a lot of patience. I am on committee from my hospital that I work for special needs to help put together a plan for our patients who have these disabilities to make their stay at the hospital a little bit more pleasant, or comfortable. But that's very important as well, because parents are like, oh my God, it's my biggest fear. If they need medical attention.
And educating the staff too.
Yes, and that's what we're working on as well. We actually have a meeting coming up next week, and we're working on all these things because our staff is not educated on it, and if we need to help each other. So how are they going to come to us for help if we don't know anything about them, So we need to educate ourselves so we can help them. And that's been like my main focus.
Well, thank you for your work, and hopefully that'll spread through other hospitals in the country, because that's important. That's truly important.
And the population is just growing, so I think it's something that we really need to act on very, very quickly about, because we're hearing all these stories from other facilities of children or of these a disabled person in their hospital stays, and it's just not the most pleasant things because nobody knows what to do. Like everybody's kind of like, where do we start?
Yeah, it's not pleasant for us, just as typical, right? Typical people, and then imagine you throw in all the other needs that this child or this adult with autism has. Like they really need to have staff who understands them, and just everything down to a darkened room or dark curtains or whatever it is, and everything and anything that they may need. So it's truly important.
And that's kind of like what we're working on now, is putting together a plan so it can be better accommodating for them when they come to our hospital for medical attention. And because that's where it starts off, is there.
Yes.
And if it's a bad experience, that's going to follow through down the road.
Yep.
So make it a positive experience as much as you can. It would be more positive for the patient later on down the road, and they won't be so traumatized by the environment.
Exactly. Once you guys start implementing it at the hospital, then I want you to come back and talk about what it is that you guys are doing and how it's working. Maybe we can do an episode about that, about hospitals, and especially because you work there. So
I'm so excited. We're trying to, because my hospital, we're all over New Jersey, so we're going to implement it across New Jersey. So it's
like fun. Yeah, that's great. I'm excited.
Board members, but we need more board members because it's a lot of work.
If I lived in Jersey still, I would probably be like, hey, but
Yeah. I totally, yes, and that's what we were talking about the other day, is people that we know that maybe would want to join us, that can help us.
Yes.
And for a couple of resources that I thought of, and people that I thought of to help with it, but it takes a village, it's just not one, but it takes a village.
Well, you heard it. Everyone heard it. It takes a village, and I just want to say thank you again for coming on with me and being my first interview.
Well, thank you for having me, and I really hope that everybody that views this, even if they just view it for 2-3 minutes or whatever, not the whole entire thing, it helps them in some way and gives them, they take that information and implement it in their life and maybe make their life a little bit easier and better, and then become more familiar with what it takes to raise an autistic child, whether they're babies, because now they're being diagnosed at 1 year old.
Yeah, really early.
So, or even actually before in 1 year, I think there's a test that you can tell before the child is even born if they're going to have autism or not.
That's definitely another episode we should do together with the hospital stuff.
Yeah, I'll definitely do my homework on that one. Yeah. But I think I really hope everybody that watches this get some kind of value from it.
Yes, I agree. Well, thank you, everyone who watched us, and we'll see you in the next episode, or I'll see you in the next episode, and hopefully Sandi again soon. Okay? Bye.